Your charm meter looks like this. It goes up when you're dressed well and goes down when you look like hell. This is your looks, fitness, fashion, voice, posture, and confidence, to name a few variables. This is part 3 of my charm series. The other videos will be in the cards above. Next, we're going to talk about your fashion. Good fashion is a combination of 4 variables: your shape, your highlight, your backdrop, and your mark. First is your shape. This is comprised of the fit of your clothes and your silhouette. Basically, the clothes you have should fit on your character model, and they let you change your hurt box. This means that if you see someone wearing an outfit, you usually can't exactly duplicate it one-to-one, even if you have the exact same item, because your character models vary. So here are some visuals to think about it a little better. Here we have a solid white look from head to toe. White shirt, white pants, and white shoes. And each of these pieces of clothing are made from the same type of material, so they all blend in with one another. The fit of the clothing works to add or remove emphasis. If something is tighter on a part of your body, it creates a point of focus, and if it's looser, it does the opposite. Focal points are important to identify and see which parts of your body you want to accentuate. If you want to show off your chest, you may want something to fit tighter in that area. Or if you want to hide the size of your waist, you need something baggier to blur it. You may not know if there's anything you want to emphasize at the moment, and that's fine. When choosing the shape of your clothes, a good choice is a neutral fitting garment. Something that doesn't fit too tight anywhere in particular, but is also not form-fitting. We don't need to see every single one of your polygons. Something to consider is that, depending on where you shop, you may not find clothing that fits exactly how you want it. A good step is to take your measurements, so that way you know what your exact size is. You can also learn the sewing skill and adjust your clothing yourself, or hire someone of the tailor class to do that for you. Belts can also be a sound investment. Alongside fit, we have silhouette. This is the outline the clothing can make on your body. So if we go back to our example, when I remove the lines dividing which garments are where, you see our hurt box is very simple. If we were to increase the size of the clothing, we can now notice how proportion affects your focal points. Let's make the jeans baggier and wider on the bottom, and raise them higher. If we go back to the silhouette, we can see this changes what we are focusing on. In proportion to the rest of the fit, the jeans become more important to the look. It's still the same material and color, but we've altered the rhythm of the garment. However, you more style-savvy players may have already caught that this look is incomplete, because now the normal fitting shirt is actually too baggy compared to the pants. So by changing the top into something more snug, we create a slimming effect for your torso. Different silhouettes can evoke a range of feelings. So some people may prefer something more rigid and defined, while others may enjoy something flowy and wispy. We could do the same tactic with our shirt and shoes to create other effects. A bigger shirt or jacket makes you look top heavy, so the focal point is high and your legs look smaller. Shape also has to do with where the skin is showing under the material. Think of this as the negative shape. We can bring focus to points of the body that are not covered. So if we wear a shirt without sleeves, our arms now stick out as being more prominent. Or if you wear a crop top, your stomach is now the point of focus. If you've never shown any type of skin in public, this might be uncomfortable to attempt, and is luckily not a requirement of your outfits, but a tool to utilize. Speaking of tools, an important one to incorporate is the use of layering. This is the process of putting multiple pieces of clothing above one another. So by creating layers, you can separate your outfit into tiers of the outer and inner wear. It's important to adjust how much of the inner clothing you're showing. If you aren't paying attention, you may end up covering up a piece of your outfit that was supposed to be visible. Proper layering can elevate your look by giving it dimension without the usage of texture or color. In short, the shape of the clothing you wear determines what people look at and the rhythm of your clothing. In general, if you wear things that fit on your body appropriately, you're heading in the right direction. Second is your highlight. This is comprised by the color and contrast of your outfit. Here are some basic color terms. Value. This is how light or dark the color is, or how close it is to black or white. Hue. This is the color itself, like red, blue, or green. Saturation. This is the intensity of the color. And temperature, which is how cool or warm the color is. Examples of warm colors can be red, orange, and yellow, and cool colors can be blue, purple, and green. Let's go back to our example. If we only focus on color, we notice that what we have is perfectly uniform. However, because of this, it has no focal point color-wise. But the moment I change the shirt's hue, your eyes are drawn to it, because now it's contrasting. So does that mean more color is better? Let's give it a shot. So if we color all the parts of the outfit with different hues, it's hard to tell where to look. We have the same problem as before. There's no focal point, so we have to play around with different values and saturations to create harmony. Whichever color has higher dominance sticks out more. So for example, if most of your colors are dark blue or navy, the saturated sky blue shirt pops. But if we want to examine this further, the look of colors on the body is going to be dependent on not just what shades you're choosing, but your own complexion as well. Your first guess may be based off of the color of your skin, but it's actually based on your undertones, which has to do with temperature. Luckily, there are guides to find what colors can work well for you. However, these tests are not the final authority when it comes to picking what colors to wear. If you want to wear a bright pink shirt, there's not a rule saying you can't. But again, it's good to follow a guide if you're unsure, and then as you begin to develop your style, you can experiment further past your comfort zone. And if you want to play it even safer than that, going with purely neutral colors could be something to try. These colors can be white, black, gray, peach, or brown. These focus more on value and saturation and not much on hue or temperature, so they can look fine on most people. But note that highlight is not just about color. If your clothing has patterns on it, that creates contrast. So stripes in the whole body can look strange, but when it's in one area, it brings the focus there. This is also why you may want to refrain from wearing graphic tees. Unless you know how to style around it, it becomes the most visually interesting part of your outfit. And it relies solely on the idea of somebody recognizing the reference on your shirt, or that they care about whatever brand name or logo is on there. I'm sure we've all seen the Zelda shirt cargo shorts combo. It's not that those pieces of clothing are inherently unfashionable, but if you don't understand any fundamentals, you're going to be confused as to why people say not to wear them. Our goal with highlight is to give you options that work well together and are interchangeable. Combining shape and highlight, we see they overlap with ideas of emphasis. For instance, if you have clothing in a flowy shape on your arms, you may want to refrain from having a highlight that makes it too busy in the center. Again, the idea is that you want to know where people are going to be looking at. So in short, highlight determines the energy of the outfit, not only in where we're looking, but what colors we're displaying, and how that affects the mood of the wearer and the viewer. Third is your backdrop. This is comprised by the function and texture of your outfit. In some ways, this is probably the most downplayed piece of the puzzle. This has to do with your outfit's usage and how it works in your given environment. We're mostly talking about clothes in terms of customization preferences, but this also highlights its in-game use as well. So if you're going to the gym, there's attire for that. If you're going on a date, there's another set of attire, and so on. The level of appropriate dress will vary. If you're not sure an outfit will work, ask yourself, is this appropriate for your body, i.e. a good shape and highlight? Is this appropriate for the weather, i.e. thin clothes in the heat or thick clothes in the cold? Or is this appropriate for the event, i.e. suit/dress for formal or swimwear for the beach? Backdrop includes event details such as lighting, proximity to other people, or the color of your surroundings. This isn't about matching colors with the venue you're in, but it's about how the outfits of other people can change the look of yours. If everyone is dressed casual and you're in a full suit, you're gonna stick out, and probably not in the way you're intending. But in general, when you're out in public, attire can range drastically from loungewear to professional. The key is intentionality with your outfits. If you don't put much thought into your look, you're leaving RNG to determine what will be the best parts. If you have good hair, that'll probably be what people compliment. But if you put a little effort on how you dress, that can make a significant difference. If you don't believe me, try equipping something else to places you've already been. You may notice that the experience is different. The issue with understanding backdrop is that many people dress for comfort over most other things. And there is some merit to doing that. Usually it doesn't matter what you wear when you're at home doing laundry, but if you're going out, it's important to show yourself care, especially if you want more respect and success. This is not because you need the validation of other people to be happy, but it's a part of taking care of yourself and showing that externally. Some people think that appearances shouldn't matter, but the reality is that appearances do have an effect in our daily lives. So we may as well dress ourselves in a way that is well thought out. This has benefits to ourselves psychologically, and we have evidence to show that how you dress really makes a substantial change in how you view yourself. Alongside functionality is the clothing's texture, from cotton, silk, linen, etc. And it's a crucial piece to make yourself look more visually interesting. Looking at our example, if I change the texture of the pants, they draw your attention. As has been the rule, too much texture can have an outfit looking a little silly, and not enough will make you appear flat. When trying new textures, it's important that you explore according to the weather and maneuverability. Not being able to do basic movement actions in your clothes sort of defeats their purpose. So if you can't get most of the motion of your arms or legs, that could be a sign that your outfit is too restrictive. Or if you have trouble in dressing for the bathroom quick time event. When you begin to make more decisions on what to wear, these choices will start to become habit. You will naturally start to put more effort as you understand what fundamentals are. It's not about mimicking what you think looks good on others, but knowing what you want to wear and how that overlaps with what looks good on you, and how to dress according to your environment. Last is your mark. This is comprised of the accessories and personality of your outfit. This component is often overlooked as well, especially from fashion novices. It might seem strange to think that something as small as a necklace, a hat, or an earring could add that much. But this part is how you show off who you are. If you're gonna accessorize, make it something that sticks out as part of what you care about or believe. Maybe the watch you have is a gift from a relative, or maybe that necklace was made by your friend. Sure, if something looks cool, that's worth wearing. But if an accessory means something to you, that makes for an easy conversation topic if someone asks about it. As with every other category, a good rule is somewhere in the middle rather than none or too many accessories. However, displaying personality doesn't just have to do with trinkets or jewelry, but it encompasses all types of cosmetics, like tattoos, piercings, hair dye, and makeup. Now before you click off, this is not saying that you have to get any of those things. but they are extra tools at your disposal. Tattoos and piercings luckily have options if you're not entirely committed to the idea of getting either, i.e. fake tattoos or clip-on piercings. Hair dye has some as well, or you could alternatively get a wig, which can be a point of apprehension for some players. Makeup has a multitude of tutorials online and a lot of different skill trees within it. By itself, it's likely the strongest tool one can use to change their appearance temporarily. Now keep in mind, some players are very particular about their tastes, so if you have or use any of these cosmetics, they can be polarizing. For example, if you're more masculine, you may find some players don't prefer it if you dye your hair or paint your nails. Or if you're more feminine, some players may not prefer excessive piercings or tattoos. All of the videos in this mini-series are about focusing on overall appeal. If you want to use any of these things, give them a shot. But it wouldn't be wise to make a video discussing this and not be upfront about the effects certain highly specific fashion choices will have on your charm. Speaking of which, having different preferences is perfectly fine. If you prefer a lot of tattoos, if you prefer a small amount of makeup, or if you prefer dyed hair, those are all reasonable preferences. But the issue comes when you make a judgment about someone based on how they look. If someone has things that you don't find attractive, that's okay. You're not going to be attracted to everybody. But somebody who uses any of these cosmetics is not inherently a bad person. You may have encountered the notion that makeup is deceitful in some way, and it's more nuanced than that. At the most basic level, makeup can highlight and make features more prominent on the face and change the texture and complexion of the skin. And at the highest level, makeup can completely transform someone's face and make them look entirely like someone else. But it's a tool. The moment we ascribe this negativity to it, we forget that it all depends on the situation. The same applies for all these cosmetics. Before concluding, let's address the elephant in the room: price. It's no surprise that if you have a higher amount of the local currency of your current server, you can practically buy whatever type of clothing you would like. So you want to focus on affordable, interchangeable clothes to form the foundation of your wardrobe. You don't need to break the bank. In the description, there will be some wardrobe essentials tutorials that you can explore. The best approach will be to build off of what you already have in your inventory. There's really no need to completely start from scratch. It's better to add clothing in, and then as you solidify it, begin to remove things that you don't wear or that don't work with your current style. You'll be thankful you did this, and so will your wallet. So after all of that, how does this play into your charm? Since we're talking about appearances, to say that what you wear is important is an understatement. When you take in the time to put in the effort, it shows. And this is something that you can work to improve. It's the rule I've discussed this entire video. It's pretty much always better to put in some type of effort rather than none or too much. So that's a basic guide for fashion increase your charm stat. This is the third part to this mini-series, so next time we'll get into your expression. As always, if you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.